Hi crafters, this is Raquel with Paints and Glitter and I welcome you to my channel. Today I'm sharing with you two different cards that you can make with Craft Kit number 78 from Tonic Studios. This is the Jam Pot gift card craft kit and it is absolutely adorable. I did share in a live video how you could make one card and you'll see that at the end of this video, but I wanted to bring you two more. So here what I've done is I did take a hybrid ink in Poppy Red from Tonic Studios. I stamped out that little flower 2 times, and then I've taken 2 markers. They're number 379 and 377. I happen to have older ones here. And I'm coloring those in, taking the darker marker and coloring the center of the flower, then following that up with the lighter one, and then repeating the steps, except for now on the outer edge, I'm taking the darker marker, and that's the 379. And then I'm going to be blending that out again with number 377. So this card that I'm using, by the way, is 300 GSM card. That is available as part of the papers that were included in this craft kit. So if you've never crafted before, if it's your first time picking up a craft kit and you're getting into die cutting and stamping, this is a beautiful and fun way to get yourself started. And here what I've done is I've taken some really dark black ink and I've just stamped right on top of everything that I just colored. And then what I'll be doing next is I'll be cutting that out. I did take my Tim Holtz scissors and I'm fussy cutting the edge of this. So you're going to see this technique a couple of times in this video, only this time around I did color in the flower and I gave it a little bit of shape there, as you can see. And in your kit, you will receive a bit of Nuvo crystal glaze, and this does dry clear, so there's a lot that you can do with this, but I'm keeping it super simple for this card. All I'm doing is using it as if it were paint, and I'm simply applying it as if I were doing brush strokes right on top of that little flower. And then I will be using that, of course, as one of the focal points on this card. But I will be setting that aside to dry. I just want to show you up close what that will look like. It'll give the appearance that that paper is enameled. Now in the kit, you do have a circle die, and then you have a label die. So with that label die, I've cut out using that little insert, which will cut little slits into your paper to create what looks like a jar label. I cut out the avocado green paper, which you see there. That's the darker one. And then I also used a piece of the spring silver mirror card. And as you can tell, it didn't cut the entire thing. And that's because I was using a piece of leftover paper, really, that I had already cut away. But I'm going to layer that avocado green paper right on top of that spring silver. And then I'm taking another paper that I had cut out of that spring silver again and layering that right on top, and this is going to create the little label for the jar. And of course you could stamp on that if you choose to use a different type of paper. You can really do a lot of different techniques using this craft kit. So here I have a piece of sea salt green and also another piece of avocado green. I'm going to be layering one on top of the other. As you can tell, the dies are on the upper left-hand corner, so you can use both of those to create a little jar lid. And you're also going to see on one of the other cards how that jar lid can be made very differently depending on the layers you use. But moving along here, I have 2 base pieces. One of them is larger than the other. The larger one is in the sea salt green and the smaller one is in the pearlescent pearl white paper. And now what I'm going to be doing is taking advantage of these gorgeous little strawberry stamps, and I'm going to be stamping this all over that background. About 2/3 of the way up is where I'm going to begin. And then here I'm taking some red ink, and what I'll be doing is, because I've coupled the strawberries on my stamp block, then I'll be able to stamp both of them at the same time in the same direction. So once I've filled this background quite a bit, I will be going back with a singular strawberry and then kind of filling in the little empty spaces. And you do see a little spare piece of paper there in the background, so that way I can go ahead and stamp off the edge. And I did switch the little strawberries so that I could have them facing in both directions. And this is a wonderful way to fill a space and also just create a really beautiful cluster of strawberries for your little jar. I'm now going to just adhere this little panel right onto that sea salt green card that's in the background. And of course you can do first and second generation stamping, and I'll be doing a little bit of that in a minute. But first, what I did is that I took some of the colored pencils from Nuvo, and these you can get in a range of colors. They come in that little tin, and they happen to be in the brilliantly vibrant colors. So I did go ahead and take the color, I think it was lemongrass. I'm pretty sure. If not, then it was the imperial jade. I can't recall right now, but it's one of the darker greens, and I colored the little leaves. But here I went back with that little strawberry stamp, and I did choose a very, very faint light pink card, ink color, and stamped all over that card again. Now, technically, I should have started with this lighter color first, but because it was such a light color onto that darker red, it really didn't make a difference, and you cannot really tell which one I applied first. And by the way, that color was cherry blossom, whereas the rest of the strawberries were in poppy red. Now what I've done is that I did cut out a piece of acetate, and I'm taking off the covering. So of course you can make a shaker, but what I did was that I applied red line adhesive all around the perimeter of that green base. And now I'm taking off that little covering that comes on that adhesive. It's a little bit difficult to pry away if you have long fingernails, but I just use that little pokey tool to help myself out. And I'm simply going to lay this right on top. Now, if you wanted to, by all means, you could cut this about a ½ inch larger than that base and simply use the die to trace it out, then fold that around the back so that you could create a shaker. But I just wanted it to look like a little glass jar, so that's why I went ahead and just applied that right on top. And then here I'm applying another little strip of that red line adhesive, and I'll be adding the little lid right on top of that acetate. And that's pretty strong adhesive, so that should stay quite nicely. And then I'm just going to go ahead and burnish the edges of this little jar to make sure that that acetate makes full contact, because it is only adhered on the outer portion of this little jar. So now I'm going to apply the little label. For this, again, because I am adhering onto acetate, that I am going to take advantage of that red line tape. It is very, very strong, and that's going to go right on the front of that little glass jar. And I'm loving the way that this is looking already, but I am going to embellish this a little bit further. For that, I'm going to go back, and I did test how wet that little flower was, but there's this little flower die in the set, and I did cut out some little flowers with that, but I wanted to start assembling this. And so here's my card base, and that is 300 GSM card in black, and then another panel of that spring silver that's going to go right onto my card, which happens to be 4¼ by 5½ inches, and it is a top folding card. And I'm applying this first. If you'd like to save paper, of course, you could cut an aperture into the center of this card and save that for a different card. I didn't do it this time around, but it is a good idea to do so, so that way you don't waste paper that's being unseen. But there you see the first layer. It's such a pretty color. And then on top of that, I am applying the rose pink classic card. Again, these are all available in the kit, so if you are wanting to recreate any one of these cards, you will be able to do so, because the supplies will be available in the kit, which will be available this month of April up until the 18th. So if you want to get your hands on this, you can purchase a one-off kit if they are still available. Other than that, There are 2 membership types that you can select, which is either a 3-month or a monthly membership, and all of the details are in the Tonic Studios website. I just wanted to mention that for you because if you are a Kit subscriber, you will get 10% off of any other purchases that are available at Tonic Studios UK or US, and those are stackable savings, if you will. So it does apply also to other items that may be on sale, and you may want to take advantage of that because at the moment that I'm recording this, there's also a huge paper sale. And if you think that these papers are pretty, let me tell you, there are so many more. And you can get your hands on some specialty papers, mirror cardstock, the classic card. They're in every color of the rainbow. So I would just say take advantage of that because 40% off of paper on any given day is a great deal. So there you see I've stacked those little flowers, which I did cut out in ballet pink and also in the pearl white. And lastly, I'm applying the little flower in the center of the label that looks as if it had been enameled. And then I'm going to top off those tiny little flowers with the drops that were available in the kit. And those are crystal drops in red berry. It is the prettiest red, so nice and vibrant. So I couldn't leave the little flowers alone, and I decided to go ahead and add a tiny little bit of red coming just from the centers of those little flowers because the die does emboss into the paper, and so I use that as a guideline to apply the color using these pencils. Now normally I would say don't do this, you may ruin your drops, but I'm a little bit of a fearless crafter, and so if I'm inspired to do something, I just go for it. And if I don't do so well and ruin a drop, then I just cut the papers again and take off what's there and replace it. So there's the finished front of this card for now. I didn't add a sentiment to this card. Sometimes I leave that until the moment that I give the card away. But I did want to also decorate the envelope that's going to accompany this card. So I took that same flower stamp and I stamped it again in the poppy red, both in the front and the back label of that envelope. And lastly, I wanted to, of course, add an insert to the inside of this card because it is a black base. So I did take a piece of white card that I had embellished with yet another little flower, and there you see that one I had finished off with actual glitter. And moving on to the next card, I really enjoyed using that little flower stamp from this kit. So what I did is I took a piece of white card, and as you can tell, I stamped the entire background just in no real pattern, just kind of scattered around, and I use some clear ink so that way I could heat emboss those little flowers. And once I had completed coloring the entire background, I did cut that panel down to fit a 5x7 card, and then whatever other little flowers I had stamped, I fussy cut, but I only applied them in a diagonal fashion there. So you can see that there are about 7 little flowers that I've applied, and then some of them were closer to the edge of the card. So I did go ahead and cut away those edges. And if you're wondering why the centers are so sparkly, it's because I took advantage of that crystal glaze that was available in the kit. And then I topped that off with a good dose of glitter. And so that gave me that really beautiful center. And I did take those little flowers that I had heat embossed also. And when I was fussy cutting them, I made sure to reach almost the center of each flower, and so that way I could have a little bit more volume. Now the sentiment that I'm using says, "I'm grateful for you," and you can tell that I did cut it out with a little circle and then also some little banners. Those are from last month's craft kit, so if you happen to have that, then of course you can mix and match, and I love doing that. I love sharing how you can accumulate these kits and then use them one with the other, mix and match to your heart's content, because you're really building a library of craft materials. So why not? I'm going to now apply this white panel onto a piece of ballet pink card. That ballet pink was also available in the craft kit. And of course, you can pick up some more. I just happen to have this in my stash of papers, and I love that combination of pink and white. I think it's so darling. And this will also make a 5x7 card, in case you're wondering about the measurements there. So I'm going to apply this entire panel onto that base card. Now, the base card happens to be an ivory white, and I did pick that up also from Tonic Studios, and the wonderful thing about it is that it is 300 GSM, so it's a perfect weight, and it comes with its own envelope. So you can pick up these packs from Tonic Studios. It will come with 10 cards and 10 envelopes, and they're at a wonderful price. So I highly recommend that if you like card making. Now what I'm doing here is I had that leftover piece of paper, and I cut it down to fit the inside of my card, so that way I could have a little panel to write on. And I also had some leftover little pieces that I had heat embossed, so you're going to see me here fussy cut those out of that one piece. I didn't want them to go to waste, so I applied these little flowers on the inside of this card, and it makes it look all very cohesive and intentional, but it's really a way to not let those things go to waste. And I just think it looks really pretty, and it's wonderful to have a finished inside of the card as much as it is to have it on the outside. So I had another little strip of ballet pink. I cut that down to about 1 inch wide by the width of the inside panel. And as you could tell, I also applied another little fussy cut flower right at the bottom little edge there. And I'm super happy with how this card turned out. Now off camera, I did apply some crystal drops and some dream drops to the front of this card. So you're going to see that, along with some, actually some little tiny sequins that were Diamond Pure Sheen sequins from Tonic Studios. So you'll see that in a minute. But I do hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. You're just now going to see how I finished this envelope. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, but feel free to let me know what you think. Which card is your favorite? Are you going to try any of these techniques? And will you be picking up this kit? I will be back on the 20th of this month with a new kit release, so I do look forward to sharing that with you as well. And as I always say, I do hope that you can be inspired and be blessed, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video today. And if you're absolutely new to this channel and you love the content, let me know. And don't forget to subscribe and also click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on future tutorials, whether they be card making, 3D makes, or absolutely anything else that comes to mind when I'm crafting, because I do like to come and share. So have a beautiful day. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Oh, and here's the glitter that I used, the embossing powder, and they happen to be pink posy, pink popsicle, and then the silver is in the classic silver. So I hope that helps in case you want to recreate the card. I can see myself making many of these in all different colors, but by the way, here are the other ones. I did have a little more fun with that envelope. And lastly, you're going to see the card that I made in the live video. So if you'd like, you could take a peek at that. There it is. And I absolutely love the way that turned out. By the way, the kit does come with some chalk mousse, and that's what I used to create those little pink hearts. So I did want to make sure that I mentioned that. And again, be inspired and be blessed. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.